The playing field, a simple dirt track. The equipment, 200 pounds of highly engineered metal. Shiny, imposing. A Supercross rider's steed. Add to the mix a combustible Vegas crowd, and you have a perfect stage for an exciting Supercross competition. Today, the all-stars of Supercross compete for the biggest prize in their sport. They'll be looking for the checkered flag and a shot at $100 grand. It is the U.S. Open of Supercross now. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the Strip, at the massive MGM Grand Hotel. Now, for those in the know, they planned ahead. Think you can grab a seat here at the main event? Think again. This is the hottest ticket in Vegas. No surprise, there's a title and a hefty purse to go with. As NBC Sports presents the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross here at the Grand Garden Arena. Welcome, everyone, to an unbelievable atmosphere, a sellout crowd. Pat Parnell along with Robbie Floyd as we ready for the world's richest motocross race. $300,000 overall purse, $100,000 to the winner. It is a very unique specialty event, an amazing amalgamation of the world's top arena and Supercross riders. 5 winners in the past 6 years, but this 7th year of this event looking a little extra golden for the 2003 defending champ.
Australian rider Chad Reed on that blue number 22 Yamaha. He chooses that number. He is the number 1 Supercross rider out there. He's the defending U.S. Supercross champion as well as the defending U.S. Open of Supercross champion, as you have mentioned, and he is without a doubt the odds-on favorite here to win tonight.
He has a lot of momentum, and if he wins here tonight, he will join the elusive ranks of the only man that has won here 2 times. Of course, we're talking about Ricky Carmichael.
How do you count out Ricky Carmichael? He's coming off an undefeated season in outdoor motocross. He won a championship every year he has rode for Team Honda. Did I mention he's on a Suzuki here this weekend? He made the switch, something that just does not happen. He's on the yellow bike, and this place livened up when this crowd saw him on the yellow bike. And man, it is the beginning of the yellow era for Ricky Carmichael. But this is an underdog course. In the 6 previous years of the U.S. Open of Supercross, 3 of them have been won by the underdog.
Well, we'll see how the underdogs play it out here in Vegas. This being a 2-day event, looking back at the first day, and mental and physical stamina a must, as Huffman, the 98 winner, went down in the first turn, but we saw that battle we were expecting between Carmichael and Reed.
Ricky Carmichael, number 4 on the Suzuki with a good start, and he lets Chad Reed, number 22, go by. You very seldom see that in Supercross. Ricky says, hey, you're fast, I want to see your lines, and we'll see what happens on the second day.
And on this tight indoor track, a very tactical move, allowing that, but worked out for Chad Reed. In the end, Chad Reed would win the first event.
And he also separated himself from Carmichael. I think Carmichael let him by. I don't know if we really expected him to get dropped that far back, but Chad Reed takes the win in day number 1. But it is a 2-day event. You have to be consistent at the U.S. Open of Supercross.
That's right. Highest cumulative point total. It is a combination of each day that will decide the overall champion. So Australian Chad Reed brings a lot of momentum, along with 25 points in today's event. Carmichael in second with 22, and 02 champ Mike LaRocco in third. And there's a lot of racing in store today. 4 races in total, 2 heats. The top 5 racers from that will go right directly to the main event, and then a last chance qualifier with the top 2 racers from that will head into the main event as Chad Reed readies for this very tight course. As we mentioned, close quarters here at the U.S. Open. For more on that, we join the third member of our broadcast team, Kenan Harkin.
Thanks, Pat. You know, Supercross races are usually held in football stadiums, the Georgia Dome, the RCA Dome. Here, we're coming to you from an arena mostly known for its boxing matches. It is compact. So compact, I'm actually standing outside where the loading docks are normally. But we are busting at the seams. We've got 6 lanes inside with whoops, rhythm sections, and turns. And it's in the turns where you're going to see some contact. If you want to make a pass, chances are you're going to be rubbing up on some of your competitors. And today, the 2 competitors everyone wants to see bang bars, the heavyweights, Chad Reed and Ricky Carmichael.
Everyone being the sellout crowd here in Vegas, they're about to get their first payoff as Chad Reed readies for the 250 heat number 1. Back to Vegas as we ready for our first heat of 2 here at the U.S. Open of Supercross. Remember, 5 competitors will advance to the main event. There will be a last chance qualifier where 2 riders will advance out of that. And this tight technical course littered with obstacles and options.
6 lanes side by side here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, Pat. The whoops section, most important. 7 feet in between the whoops, 3 feet deep on each. Also the rhythm section. There's 2 to choose from and multiple lines on each, especially that outside one. You're seeing a couple of guys going triple. It can really make up the time. Fast straightaway. They make 25 laps in the main event, but this is a tight technical course.
So we are ready for our first heat of 2 in the 250cc Pro class. And you can see Chad Reed on the outside lane. Last night's champ as well as defending champ returning here to Vegas.
But you got to remember, Pat, it is a 2-day event. He needs a good start in this heat race because he has guys like Michael Arauco, another former champion of the U.S. Open of Supercross, and he never gives up. Although he didn't ride many races this past summer, so he's going to be a little rusty.
One of the fittest men in the sport, without a doubt. And number 13, Heath Foss, riding for Team Yamaha on the inside. And we've seen some interesting things happen there on that inside lane. Damon Huffman, who we saw on Friday night's event, go down in that first corner. So him looking for a little redemption on the second day of events.
How about this heat race? 3 former champions, 1 heat race. This is going to be a good one. When that car turns sideways, look out, backward falling gates. If you take off too soon, if you haven't seen a Supercross before, you can get that front tire stuck in the gate.
Here we go, heat number 1. And no surprise, Reed fast out into the hole shot.
But it's Kyle Lewis on his inside, but Reed takes over that line. Chad Reed, number 22, the Australian, and he loves that whoop section. He has that bike so dialed in those whoop-de-doos.
And remember, the top 5 racers will advance to the main event. We'll follow this with a second heat and then a last chance qualifier. Anyone who doesn't make it out, the top 2 racers out of the LCQ will advance.
Watch this section right here. He gets such a good drive, jumps on that tabletop back off. He also has another method of jumping that rhythm section. We'll see a little bit later, I'm sure. But Chad Reed, he's picking up right where he left off at the event number 1. Second place is Kyle Lewis, lucky in that number 2 spot in the Mach 1 Yamaha of Voss in 3rd. Don't count Voss out either.
You know, it's amazing. We talk about the distance, the gap that Reed can advance from. We saw, on the first day of event with Carmichael. Unbelievable. Look at just through the section there.
Oh,
the bounce.
One bobble right there, and 2 people get by, Voss as well as Larocco, and you already see the separation with Reed. Watch this section right here. A lot of rhythm, jumping on, jumping off. Now let's see if he jumps this one section. Only 2 or 3 guys jumping triples, and he doesn't do the last half of it. He's actually tripling coming out of that turn instead of doing it as a step up.
One of the other racers we've seen do that is Carmichael.
Carmichael, also Ernesto Fonseca, but all factory riders, but it's one of those high risk, high rewards. Now you're looking at a good battle between 2 burly guys. I mean, these are the physical riders of Supercross. Heath Foss, number 13, and number 5, Ironman, Mike Larocco.
Well, Larocco, a veteran, you mentioned the physicality aspect. A lot of people don't understand. You see them going through the whoops. That definitely illustrates how physically fit you have to be a Supercross rider.
This entire course is very difficult, especially the whoops. You got to remember, this is a 200-pound machine. They are manhandling around. Now, actually, the smoother the rider is, like Chad Reed, you're not having to manhandle it. You flow with it. You just kind of move with the machine instead of fighting it. But guys like Larocco, maybe not as much Voss, they actually power that bike around, and it is very physical.
Out the back right now, a battle between 2nd and 5th positions.
Yeah, a tight battle. Look at that. Oh, contact.
As promised.
You can't get any tighter than that. Damon Huffman, that's what happens when 2 riders meet in the middle. Let's take a look at this again. Damon Huffman's on the right, number 20. Look at him come into the 54 of Jeff Gibson. Really no one's fault. It's just when 2 lines merge, somebody had to pay the price. That time, it was Damon Huffman.
Well, Robbie, thinking about to last year's event, we saw a lot more contact on the inside, but looking back at the first day event, a lot more contact on this outside section as we head to the outside of the Garden Arena.
It's a small portion of the course, Pat, but it's very tight, compact. That means bumping, and that's part of Supercross. You expect that. It's a lot like an arena cross. They race in smaller arenas. Well, we mix the best arena cross and Supercross drivers together. That gives us US Open Supercross.
It is an amazing mix of riders. And our current leader, Australian Chad Reed, started riding at a very young age, knew that this was the place to come to live the dream in this sport.
Been racing since I was 4 years old, so 22 now. It's been a lot of fun. Been wide open ever since then. Just traveling, through Australia, and then realizing my goals of really knowing who I want to be and to want to be the best in the world. And noticing that it wasn't going to happen in Australia, that it was going to have to happen somewhere else, either Europe or America. And being somebody who chose Jeremy McGrath as an icon, I chose America and Supercross. So it's very neat to be here and achieving my goals and living my dream. It's a lot of fun.
You talk about his dedication in the off-season, spent a lot of time on his fitness, bought a home in California near the Yamaha test track. And right now that battle for fourth place between Clark and Gibson.
Look at this, raging on as they head outside one more time. You also throw in Damon Huffman, who we saw had that contact early on. He's not giving up. You do not want to have to ride the last chance qualifier, Pat. You want to make it in the heat race. Starting to get pressure, giving up a little bit of that outside. Jeff Gibson doesn't want to give up that inside liner. Damon Huffman's going to take it now. He's set up perfect. He should get the pass here and does so.
Gibson out front, right behind him, Ryan Clark. Relenting in that second corner.
Now Clark has some pressure because just behind him, Damon Huffman, a former champion here. Huffman won the very first year of the US Open of Supercross in '98. He knows what it takes to win, a former Supercross champion in the 125 class on the AMA circuit, and Huffy now starting to pressure. He's one of the consummate privateers, meaning he does not have the factory support, or has never had the factory support, Ryan Clark.
Just under halfway, nearing down the sixth lap of 12. Oh!
Heath Boss goes down and he takes Mike LaRocco with him. That is second and third on the ground. LaRocco gets his handlebar caught in Boss's front spokes, and they lose ground. LaRocco has to refire the machine. Let's see what happens. Boy, just loses the front end, goes down. LaRocco, playing follow the leader, had nowhere to go. And unfortunate for both riders, especially for LaRocco, because he saw Boss, he kept his hand over the clutch, kept the machine running.
So Heath Boss, despite the fall, currently in fourth place.
Drops back to fourth, still a transfer spot. That means that fifth spot behind you, really trying to put the pressure on right now. Damon Huffman is in a qualifying position after his bubble early on, so that just shows you do not give up. And how about Ryan Clark, who was battling for his life? Well, now having to battle for third spot now between Heath Boss. He's going forward, backward, forward again.
Unbelievable shift change in the second to the fifth spot right now. Remember, the top five will advance to the finals. Following this, we'll have that second heat race, and after that, the last chance qualifier.
Heath Boss, rider number 13, the current World Supercross GP champion. You have your US events, the AMA Series, and they add a couple more in European rounds. Arnhem Holland and in Sevilla, Spain, and the man who come out on top of that was Heath Boss. He's the reigning champion. He shows you why right there. Look at that. Passes on the outside, just lays the machine over and gets by Ryan Clark.
It's a body block.
It's tough stuffing somebody from the outside. Now Huffman sticks a wheel in there. You usually pass people on the inside, especially tight events like this. You pass on the inside because you can force them wide. When you do it on the outside, boy, you really done something. Now Clark has to go, man, what's next? Now Huffy's back on me again. I need to make it to this final. Huffman, even though making contact earlier, still hasn't given up, and he's putting pressure on because, again, the better you finish in their heat, the better gate kick you get for the final.
So just 2 laps to go with Vallejo way out the back. But up front, still battling. You can see just the stamina factor at this point in the race to handle those whoops. Chad Reed just maintaining a comfortable gap.
Jaron Sorensen, his mechanic, showing the pit board as we look at this Slim Jim helmet cam. Watch this section for Reed. This is the whoop-de-doo section. It's like he's driving down a freeway. They're staying on the very top of those whoops, meaning he doesn't make the peaks and valleys. He's just staying up there on the peak.
Such a finesse. And you notice he's taking that outside line to the one right turn. Only a few racers taking that. We saw Carmichael taking the inside lane on the first day of competition.
It's really a rider preference, Pat. You go outside because no one's inside of you. As we look at Mike LaRocco now into 5th spot. Even though he goes down, he still picks it back up and gets by Ryan Clark. If Clark doesn't come up with a miracle, basically, he's going to have to ride that last chance qualifier. You don't want to be there.
That shows some amazing resilience by LaRocco.
That's why he's the Iron Man. He doesn't give up. He has the fortitude. And the man with the lead, you've seen it through the Slim Jim helmet cam, taking the victory. Chad Reed, a little fist pump. He says, yeah, 12 laps down, but I'm looking forward to that 25-lap main event.
So it will be played out between the 2nd and 5th positions as we look at the back of the pack.
Huffman in 4th, LaRocco in 5th, even though both of these riders had problems during the race. LaRocco still not giving up. He wants that one better gate pick. And Voss as well. Heath Voss takes over 2nd on the last turn. LaRocco, no, cannot get it done, but he does finish 5th, and he will move on to the final.
Chad Reed advances. Heath Voss, Jeff Gibson, Damon Huffman, and Mike LaRocco make their way to the main event.
How about it for Jeff Gibson finishing 3rd? You didn't hear a word about it? Great. I'm in the final. I qualified 3rd. Let's watch this start, though. The Supercross starts are so important. Chad Reed does it from the outside. He made it happen. Normally, you want to be inside. He made it happen from the outside. Then you have the outside section, the portion, of course, where they leave the arena, come back in. Look at him just manipulating the machine around, throwing the bike around. He has that bike dialed, and it's even lighter for 2005. This is the new machinery, and you can already tell he's accustomed to it.
And, Rob, you talk about the innate competitiveness of these riders. Look at Heath Voss battling when he doesn't really have to battle. He knows he's secured a top 5 spot, but then takes the inside line.
Jeff Gibson gets dropped back to 3rd. Look at this race for 4th and 5th. Goes Huffman, followed by LaRocco. But again, these riders do not give up.
So the final results after the first heat of 2 of competition. On top, Reed, Voss in 2nd, Gibson 3rd, Huffman in 4th, and Mike LaRocco in 5th. Right now, let's send it down to Ken and Harkin with Chad Reed.
Chad, you're holding up your end of the bargain here tonight. Now, I know RC was watching that race very closely. Will you be watching this next one as closely?
Sure, you're never too good to learn anything. And, we watch, learn, see what's up, see what kind of lines he's got. But having a good night. This is the night that counts the most. Whoever wins tonight takes the overall. And, I really, really want to get that overall. It feels nice to get a win at an event like this. But, I want to thank all my sponsors, all the people at Yamaha, Thor, Parts Unlimited, Scott and Bridgestone, and Slim Jim, and all my trainers. Everybody's doing a great job and having a lot of fun out here.
Well, you got one more race left. Go get some rest.
Thanks a lot.
So 5 racers advance to the main event. Another 5 will make it. Ricky Carmichael, who currently is on it, we'll see him in heat number 2.
I'm coming off of a great outdoor season and just really pumped to be out there and racing in Vegas.
Welcome back, everyone, to Vegas. It goes without saying, this is a gambling town. And look at this, the odds for the 2004 U.S. Open on top. Chad Reed, but I bet you Ricky Carmichael would have something to say about that.
Reed is the odds-on favorite, but don't count out Carmichael. LaRocco, it's anybody's ball game. That's why you had this 2-day event. It kind of mixes them up a little bit. In Supercross, they're used to racing 1-day main events. Here, it's 2.
Yeah, in Vegas, it's all about stamina. As we look at the lineup for heat number 2, the 250 Pro Class, you saw Tortelli and Carmichael, teammates there, along with Thomas, Fonseca, Way, Hoffmaster, and riding for KTM, Hansen.
A heavily stacked factory heat race here. Carmichael, Fonseca, Tortelli, Hansen, all factory riders, but the focus is on Ricky Carmichael. It's the crowd's first chance to see him on a Suzuki. Ernesto Fonseca was his teammate just a few short weeks ago on the factory Honda team. Very seldom do people leave factory Honda. Carmichael did so. Here's his new teammate, Sebastian Tortelli, riding the two-stroke RM250, although he's been practicing on Suzuki's new four-stroke.
The start of Heat 2, watch the whole shot.
Fonseca shuts down Carmichael, just closed the door on him.
Remember, the top 5 will advance to the main event. Out of here, Heat 2, last chance qualifier will follow this. Top 2 from that will advance as well.
Look at Ricky, already trying to find ways by his former teammate, Ernesto Fonseca. You see him weaving through that section. Yeah. I don't know if that's faster or not, but he's kind of blocking the inside, then taking the outside line, which he thinks is faster.
We were talking about that earlier compared to Chad Reed. Look at the distance on that.
Trying to make the pass. That's where Carmichael's faster than Fonseca. And he knew it that time. He said, if you're going to get by me, you better do it right now, because that'll be blocking like crazy. Fonseca, Carmichael, 1 and 2. At the first stop, this is where Carmichael let Chad Reed by in the main event. Fonseca's not going to offer him that same thing. Carmichael's going to have to work for it, and it's tough in the whoop section because he's not the tallest of riders, but he does make that suspension work for him.
Carmichael in the lead, Fonseca behind. Brilliant move by Carmichael coming on the inside of the second corner.
Carmichael only about 5 feet 7 inches tall. That's why I'm saying letting that suspension work for him, because he does not have the height or the leg power. You have longer legs, it's kind of giving you a little bit more suspension. With him on the new bike, I don't expect him to be as fast as he is right now, but he has that bike pretty dialed in, except for this section right here. Night number 1, it was causing him some problems. Maybe ergonomic. The bike really isn't set up quite exactly like he would want it.
Carmichael distancing a little bit more. You talk about that, jumping on a bike that quickly and then going right into a competition.
He's been riding it less than 2 weeks. I mean, he told us about 10 hours on the bike. That is crazy. He had every reason in the world to say, no, I'm going to pass, not race this event, but he knows how prestigious it is, and he's out here to prove that Ricky Carmichael's fast on whatever machine he's on.
Interesting, both Carmichael and Fonseca taking that inside line, and they're again clearing the entire distance.
We saw Reed do it. They're the only 2 guys to do it so far. Fonseca did it during practice, but it is high risk, high reward, and extremely high risk. You catch a wheel on that last little jump. As we look back, Sebastian Tortelli, Carmichael's teammate, I told you he was on the 2-stroke. Suzuki's coming out with a 4-stroke machine, a lot more torque, but it is not homologated yet. They have to have 50 in the U.S. to sell before he can race in an AMA competition, and they're not at that level yet, so he has to ride the 2-stroke.
That's been an interesting evolution when you talk about the 4-stroke. 4 years ago wasn't the case.
No, definitely not the case. In the smaller displacement classes, you see the 125s, they're all 4-strokes. But here, you see riders, well, they prefer the 2-stroke to the 4. This battle for third, Jason Thomas on the Subway Honda, doing a good job holding off a factory rider. His teammate, Jeff Gibson, we saw him finish third qualifying out of heat race number 1.
The 33, Jason Thomas, number 103, Tortelli, battling it out. Interesting difference between the power band difference of a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke. It's a discernible difference. When you're here in the stadium, you can hear the difference.
Well, let me try and explain it to you. A 4-stroke, more like a tractor. It's torquey, you hear that sound. A 2-stroke's more like a turbo, like a Porsche. And either way, Turbo Tortelli just moves into the number 3 spot, the Suzuki. But it's different for him. If you're used to driving a tractor around, all of a sudden you hop in a Porsche twin turbo, you get that snap. Well, that's what a 2-stroke's like. You get the snap. The 4-stroke, you get the brunt. And here comes another 2-stroke trying to make his way by Nick Way, number 27. He was Tortelli's teammate just a couple of weeks ago, loses his factory ride, now being picked up by the MDK Motorsports team, and he's looking for a little revenge.
That was a brilliant pass by number 27, Nick Way. Just 8 laps to go of this 12-lap heat. Just makes us think about the amount of stamina and endurance these guys undergo. 8 laps, you got 4 more to go, and just taking that punishment through the whoops. Carmichael still in the lead.
And Carmichael, without a doubt, one of the most physically fit riders on the track in any sport.
Physically demanding wise, it's probably like the Tour de France, rather than you don't have 22 days. But you're anaerobic the whole time pretty much, your heart rate, and it's tough, and you really have to be on the game. I'm in great shape, and I feel that I can always be better. It'll just make it that much better for you, and it'll be easier for you. But it's really hard. I mean, your heart rate is just through the roof, and it's tough.
It's funny that Ricky compares it to the Tour de France. The Supercross trainer of the Stars also happens to help out Lance Armstrong. Jeff Spencer works with Lance Armstrong as well as the top Supercross guys. I see a little correlation because these guys are so physically fit. And if you don't believe so, just take a lap at the local track.
It's a big misconception, the fact that these guys have 250cc motors cranking them. And you see that right there, number 27, Nick Way, maintaining and actually furthering the lead between him and Tortelli.
Yeah, just kind of snuck up on him. And I told you, it's a little bit of that revenge. But back to what you were saying about the physical ability of these riders. It is so tough out there. Yes, you have a machine under you. It is doing some of the work, but definitely not all of the work.
Fonseca, number 24, for the moment, holding down second with Way and Tortelli behind him in third and fourth.
Ernesto Fonseca sporting the new hairdo this week. He's coming back from injury at the Supercross round in San Diego, tweaked his knee. He missed most of the Supercross series of 2004. He's looking for a little redemption as well. The body's healed now. He says, I'm fast, and I can't wait for the 2005 season, but he also can't wait to maybe cash a check for $100,000 here in Las Vegas.
And problems for Nick Way. He was in third. He falls back to sixth place. It was that constant battle between him and Tortelli, so Way having to catch up at this point.
A little disheartening for him. He worked his way up into third, then drops his way back. You have to come inside the top five, just like in heat race number 1. Now they determine who gets the first gate pick. I'm sure you're probably wondering out there, well, if you have a winner in heat 1 and heat 2, who gets first pick? The fastest rider of the two heat races. He gets first pick of the gate, and that sometimes can be very important for these riders. Look at that rhythm of Ricky Carmichael. Fluidity. I mean, he's just so smooth in that triple-triple.
And you have to add that up. 12 laps, that much faster in that section of the course. By the time he finishes this race, we'll have a healthy distance between him and the rest of the pack.
And I'm bad at math, but at 0.2 of a second each lap for 10 laps will be 2 seconds. That's an eternity in most motorsports racing. So a little bit here, a little bit there really counts towards the end. There's a 55 of Joe Aloff now starting to get some pressure from Nick Way. Aloff wants to be in that final. We mentioned Gibson, his teammate, in there. Nick Way picks it up, and he's definitely not giving up.
Nick Way trying to fight back from the former third-place position he held. Giving some good pressure right there, number 55, Olof. But look at that, 33 having problems.
Aloff's teammate, Jason Thomas, JT goes down. He was in a qualifying position. Now Nick Way has moved up another spot. Way is now into fourth. And Aloff breathing a little bit easier. He's in fifth, but nobody's behind him. But nobody wants to stay and qualify.
And all this matters because, remind you, the top 5 will advance to the main event. So Nick Way was in it. He was out of it. Now he's back in it.
As long as he finishes that way, you'll see a smile on Nick's face. Maybe not the best gate pick, but just like LaRocco in heat race number 1, he went down, worked his way up. Nick Way, former factory rider, I can't emphasize that enough, is doing the same thing. And I know Nick, a great guy. I don't know why he does not have a factory ride. He's proven how fast he is. Even though he made a bobble, he's still able to work his way up. But no one is as fast as Ricky Carmichael in heat race number 2.
Put that in perspective. When you don't have the crew and the support that these guys have, I mean, that goes a lot into the success of Carmichael, guys like Chad Reed, and they continually thank their crews. It's a very integral part.
And a great working relationship you have with your mechanic. And a lot of times, those mechanics are factory mechanics. They're supplied by the factory, and you don't get to change over with your mechanic. But in Ricky Carmichael's, that was the case. His mechanic, Mike Gosler, come over from Honda with him. I don't know how much they had to pay, but it's good to see the Goose-Carmichael combination working well again.
So just 1 lap to go as Ricky Carmichael maintains the lead. And we see right there, Nick Way holding on to 4th place.
Ricky Carmichael putting a lap on Josh Hansen. Hansen, a 125 rider, normally riding the factory KTM in the 250 class. As of right now, he's going to have to ride the LCQ. A little seat bounce, a little encouragement from the pit board area, and everything looks good for Ricky Carmichael, but he's still charging even though he only has 1 turn left.
Like I said, it's innate. Like to go fast, so Carmichael advances to the main event.
RC looking good. The first time we get to see him here on the Suzuki. He has that bike dialed. For only a couple weeks worth of riding, he is so fast already on it. Nick Way, a great ride. works his way out of qualifying position, back into qualifying position. He is going to finish 4th if he keeps it on 2 wheels. But you didn't hear much from Fonseca and Tortelli. They finished 2nd, 3rd. You kind of got to like that. When you don't hear anything, it's a good thing.
And there you saw Fonseca and Tortelli clearing the finish line, and Nick Way in 4th. An interesting gap between 1st, the 2nd and 3rd spots, and then 4th and 5th because of the falls. You had Way go down. You had Jason Thomas go down as well.
A very tough, demanding course here at the U.S. Open in Las Vegas. Carmichael, the leader. The last transfer spot, Joe Aloff. He's happy. Josh Hanson's not because he has to ride the last chance qualifier.
Right now, let's go to Kenan Harkin with Ricky Carmichael.
Well, you're on the podium, but things were a little tough in the start there. Tell me what happened.
I got a pretty good start, and Ernesto Fonseca kind of swept around the outside there. And, it took me like a lap or so to get by him, but I was able to get by and put in some good laps.
All right, well, you certainly did that, but now in the main, can you afford something like that to happen?
Definitely not if Chad gets a hole shot, but it'll be fun for me if he did, and I could play catch up. But I want to get the hole shot and try to put in some good laps and try to get some distance if possible.
All right, we'll get some rest.
All right, thank you.
The epic dream battle everyone was hoping for has materialized. Chad Reed, Ricky Carmichael, among the sport's best, fighting for the richest purse in motorcycle racing at the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross. Welcome back, everyone. Pat Farnell along with Robbie Floyd here at the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross, and we have had a full menu these 2 days. Not just the 250 class at stake, but many others, including, I believe, the 7 to 9-year-olds in the KTM Junior Supercross.
Yeah, the KTM Junior Supercross Challenge, part of every Supercross. We had 16 races. We had a winner in each one of those rounds, plus the 2 European rounds. You see riders going down. They have to have good grades. They're here to put a show on for the crowd and to come out a winner. Oh, man, the little Groms. I mean, that's what they are. They are little grommets out there trying to win in front of thousands of spectators each time.
Kids that are normally relegated to the K-League soccer fields. These kids are riding on the same track that the world's best are riding on. Tanner Wineland with the win, and Connor Pearson grabs 2nd. And then it was time for the 85cc class. And we saw some repeating dominance from last year's winner.
Yeah, 85cc machinery, 12 through 13-year-olds. They qualified by way of the Amateur Nationals at Hurricane Mills, Loretta and New Branch. And Dominic Izzy is the dominant 85cc rider. It was the number 8 of Chaz Holiday from Texas with a hole shot, but it didn't take Izzy long to get by. This kid is a name to remember. He has the number 1 plate on that little RM80, and I expect a number 1 plate on his RM125 in another couple of years.
Well, you mentioned the 125, sometimes taking a 2nd seat in the 250 class, but no less competitive when you talk about the quality and the level of riding we saw.
No, and very competitive is the number 40 Honda out of Rancho Cucamonga, California, that Amsoil Chaparral CR 250F, the 4-stroke, shows his dominance. Snell's been on that top of the podium before. He won in Dallas a few years back. His best finish this year was a 3rd at Dallas, and he finished 6th in the 125 West Coast Supercross Series. But Schnell, Adams, and Thomas Hahn, the rookie, round out the top 3.
Still to come, the main event and the 2 spots of entry via the last chance qualifier. Back to Vegas for the last chance qualifier. Only 2 will advance to the main event here at the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross. And in the first quarter, Eric Vallejo, number 57, getting tangled up.
But a great start with a 100 KTM, the orange bike out there. Josh Hansen, the son of Supercross and motocross star Donnie Holshot Hansen of days gone by. Now the younger Hansen, Henny taking over the number 1 spot. Only 2 make it, Pat. This is a full field, a full gate, and a lot of pressure on these riders.
And a great pass by 52 Johnson on the 1 corner, then right back. Another pass from Kyle Lewis.
Kyle Lewis on the Moto Triple X Honda showing him a wheel. That's what it's going to be like, I tell you right now, for that 2nd spot. It is your last chance to qualify. I cannot emphasize that enough. You see Arena Cross star coming up behind on the Moto World Suzuki. Tommy Hoffmaster finished 2nd in Arena Cross. This is his style of track.
Very congested, I think it's fair to say, in this first lap. But look at on the outside, you got Clark, Hoffmaster battling.
Squaring it up, dives to the inside. Ryan Clark, that consummate privateer I've talked about. He knows that Hoffmaster is going to take as many inside lines as he can, make him go the long way around. Going the outside right there is Kyle Lewis. He's trying to set up little Hanny. Hansen holds him to the outside, but now here comes Keith Johnson in the fray.
Amazing back and forth we were seeing in the last chance qualifier. You mentioned Lewis. He's had a fair share amount of success in Vegas back in 02. Actually got a 9th place and a 17th at the AMA 250 Supercross.
A former Japanese motocross champion. He's from the U.S., but he won that Japanese title several years ago. One of our wily veterans, I guess. He has age, I guess you could say. Hansen, one of the young riders, looks over. You better not look too much because this guy's going to blow by you. Look at that, almost 3 wide in that right-hand turn, Pat.
Still very tight at the top of the pack, and Hoffmaster starting to gain a little on the top 3 at this point.
Hoffmaster back and forth. You have to finish in the top 2, and now Lewis takes over the lead. Hansen back to second, make that third. Here comes Keith Johnson on the inside. Now Hanny has to make up ground and tries to get a wheel in. Shuts the door, goes Johnson. Look at him. He jumped in front of his line. He wasn't trying to negotiate it. He was just trying to take over Hansen's line.
It shows how contentious this last chance qualifier. They're trying to pass on the outside section. We have not seen that. We've seen contact out there.
Oh, anything goes in the last chance qualifier. I'm telling you right now. You see Kill now, the pit board for Keith Johnson. He's in second, trying to put the whoop on number 23, Kyle Lewis. But Lewis, again, he knows the fast lines. He also knows the blocking lines. And look at how tight this field is. Only 2 make it to the final.
Kyle Lewis still maintaining the lead, showing great stamina and endurance. The father has a daughter, and you talk about just the challenges of being on an event like this, the endurance, but let's talk about the entire tour.
Yeah, it's tough on the family. He's also thinking about the house payments, just moved into a new house in October. A lot goes through your mind. That's why you race these events outside their normal schedule. You get invited, you try and make as much coin in a short amount of time as possible.
This being, as we said, the richest race in the sport. But look at him just blow through the whoop section there.
Actually, he and Keith Johnson not really hanging off the back of the bike, letting that front end get a little bit weighted. You see the bike rocking back and forth. That's usually not the fastest, but I think he was trying to weight that front end, stop a little early. Speaking of that, squared it up. Keith Johnson, he's going to have the inside line unless Lucky shuts him down, and he does so.
Great tactical move by Lewis coming to the outside section of the Garden Arena.
Kyle Lewis, he's a smart rider. He's an aggressive rider. You see the pit boards. There's no electronic boards out there. They write them down each lap. Sometimes you'll get a lap time to tell you how close the guy is behind you. He doesn't need that. He knows he's on his rear tire right now. Keith Johnson, his cousin Isaiah Johnson in the field as well. And now Johnson goes to the inside.
Oh,
nowhere to go.
Lewis got completely pinched. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, you get shut down like that, you go wide, you can expect it, you expect it to happen. Tight lanes, 6 lanes inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena. As Kenan talked about in the open, you need a little contact if you're going to pass here in Vegas.
Right there. Keith pulling away at the front of the pack. A battle for second place at this point, if he can further that lead.
Ryan Clark back in 3rd spot. That's out of transfer. His fiancee Cassandra saying, come on, baby. I say fiancee. That's for another week. He's getting married next week. So, you know, he's thinking about that family thing as well. There's dollar signs in those boys' eyes right now.
And fatigue has to be setting in. Right there, number 38.
Ryan Clark just dices. He actually stopped ahead of time so he could dive back under. This is chess in a motocross field, on a Supercross stage right now. They are just playing checkers, chess, battling back and forth, trying to anticipate the other guy's move.
Well, you saw Clark and Lewis exchange different lines there. Lewis opting for that outside line.
Keith Johnson with a fast line in first. The battle is for second, just behind Kyle Lewis, the Moto Triple X Honda number 23, just behind him, Ryan Clark on the Fly Racing Yamaha. And the mechanics are probably the most nervous. They can't do anything over there on those sidelines.
They look like respected fathers. Just the way that they...
Oh, man. All right, here it comes again. Watch the 38. He's on the inside. What does Lewis do? He knows it's coming.
Wow.
Squares it up. He saw it coming. It's a chess match.
Robbie, that was brilliant, the way Lewis kind of posted up there and then apexed the corner right when he was able to. Almost anticipating that log-up.
And it happens again. Oh, man, Ryan Clark got hung up at the top. It was really loose. When they do that berm, that turn, it sends all the loose dirt out. Well, Clark almost went down because he got in that loose stuff and he almost couldn't recover. Jason Thomas going, dang, I was that close to going into third. The object is second place right now.
That's right. Only the top two, to remind you, only top 2 riders will advance to the main event. The other 10 riders, 5 out of the first heat and 5 out of the second, advanced earlier.
This is where the change happens every lap right here. Second spot, third spot. Who's going to come out? Ryan Clark has the inside. He should be better, but you see Kyle Lewis just shut him into that tough block. What looks like a hay bale is actually a piece of foam covered in a logo. And now here comes Jason Thomas. JT Muddy's trying to get in there.
I don't think there's been one single corner that we haven't seen a contentious battle for a lead change. Even on that outside section between Lewis.
You want to be second when the checker flag comes out. Right now, Keith Johnson, our leader, is gone. Second, third, fourth, so tight, anything can happen. It's a slippery track. It's a very tough track. You can see what happened right there. The 78 of Ted Campbell goes down. And one more time in the whoops. This time Clark gets scored. They are all over the place.
How Ryan Clark was able to hang on and then still cut the corner. And then gets pushed even farther back. Yet again, final lap in the last chance qualifier.
They saw the white flag, or I'm guessing they saw the white flag. Jason Thomas still sticks a nose in there. Kyle Lewis is in second, number 23. Ryan Clark on the Fly Yamaha is in third. That gets him nowhere. That just gets him a good seat up here in the stands with us because he's going to be spectating instead of participating in that final.
Well, another Yamaha rider out front, Keith Johnson. It looks as he is going to take the win, but the hungry battle right now for second place.
Kyle Lewis, number 23 on the Honda. This chess match goes on with one turn. Kyle Lewis says check. Ryan Clark says checkmate. Clark beats him by half a bike length.
Unbelievable.
Oh, man, the hairs are standing up on my arm. And, oh, man, Kyle Lewis is mad. But on the other hand, Ryan Clark is going, whoo, man, I made it to the final.
So Keith Johnson and Ryan Clark advance to the main event.
Look at the crowd showing some love for that battle that raged on the entire race. Ryan Clark took second, but lucky. Kyle Lewis finishes third. Little unlucky right there, but they know that was an epic battle.
There was never a dull moment in this race, but some key moments in the corners.
Second to last turn, it has Clark ahead. Now Lewis is on the outside. He could have dove inside, but he'd already committed. His mind was made up to go outside. Look at the drive. Clark gets a good drive, and literally half a bike length separates second from third, and a lot of money is in between that half a bike length.
No shortage of tactics in the last chance qualifier. No corner went to waste, and I think it's fair to say the two Yamaha riders, Keith Johnson along with Ryan Clark, deservedly earned their spots into the main event. They will join 10 other riders, 5 that qualified in the first heat and 5 that qualified in the second. This sellout crowd, they're much anticipating the main event, where they will see two-time champion for the U.S. Open of Supercross, Ricky Carmichael, battling Chad Reed, the defending champ. It'll all be decided when we return to Las Vegas and the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross. One of the coolest aspects of the Do Action Sports Tour is that it's not a standalone event. It's a season, something those sports have never seen before. But right now, everything is focused on the main event as we get ready. And there you see it, stacked up. Carmichael, Reed, Voss, Fonseca.
3 factory riders of the first 4 there. Got to give some props to Jeff Gibson, the privateer on the Subway Honda. Nick Way loses his factory ride. He's looking for some redemption as well. LaRocco, typically not the best starter. Well, he didn't get the best Gate pick either.
And Johnson and Clark getting through the last chance qualifier. Chad Reed gets ready with mechanic Darren Sorensen. He'll be battling it out with Ricky Carmichael. Main event up next. Welcome back, everyone, to Las Vegas for the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross. Pat Parnell along with Robbie Floyd and Kenan Harkin as we get on board the Slim Jim Rider Cam. with Chad Reed getting ready for the main event. You can't get more front row than that, looking down the whole shot. And that is what he's going to be aiming for once the gate drops. But he's got some competition in the likes of Ricky Carmichael, who just happens to be right next to him, Robbie.
This 250cc main event is going to be a good one. 25 laps to his right, Ricky Carmichael to his left. The factory Honda of Ernesto Fonseca. I like that helmet cam. This could get really good. You see it mounted just on the top of his helmet there. His mechanic Darren Sorensen. There's Goose giving some words of encouragement to Ricky Carmichael. Look at the number 5. Even though he had a bad gate pick, nobody wanted outside of Carmichael. They wanted inside of it. So the guys that had better picks chose the inside lane, wanting to push everyone wide.
We are seconds away from the main event, and we have seen a lot of racing here the past 2 days in Las Vegas. An AMA-sanctioned event, and this, the culmination of it all, the 250cc class. I want to point out, Ricky Carmichael, he's won overall title twice. Chad Reed, once. We mentioned at the top of the show, Chad Reed wants to add his name to the 2-time winner list.
You have the points from yesterday's main, you combine them with the points from today's main, and we're going to crown a champion, and he's going to walk away $100,000 richer.
This is the main event, 25 laps.
Good start for Carmichael. He gets a hole shot. That Slim Jim helmet cam shows Reed back at about 4th. Nick Way, number 27 on the outside, and now Heath Moss takes over 2nd.
Keep in mind, Carmichael came from the outside of Chad Reed out of the start.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he didn't pick inside. Now Reed goes inside of Moss. Great shot right there. Here's the matchup we've been waiting for. 1 and 2, Carmichael, Reed. The Supercross GP champion, Heath Moss, in 3rd spot. The best riders in the world are here, and Carmichael able to triple, make up a little time on Reed in that one little section. Oh! Reed sticks a wheel and goes down in the first lap. Better now than the last lap, I guess, but Reed goes down and has to work his way through the field. Oh, I cannot believe it. You never see Chad Reed make a mistake, and yet you see it here with all the lights, all the spotlights on him. He makes a bobble. That normally does not happen.
Well, we saw 2 years ago Ricky Carmichael go down, which was unheard of at the U.S. Open, but trying to make up the difference. Chad Reed having to work his way through the pack.
And we see it firsthand through that Slim Jim helmet cam. The YZ250 has his work cut out for him. Chad Reed back in 4th spot, just ahead of him. Nick Way, Heath Moss, and then Ricky Carmichael. Reed now starting to find his groove again.
And as we mentioned, this is the main event. He'll have 25 laps, a little bit more time to play catch-up.
Yeah, he's back in 4th right now. There is time, but Ricky has no one to worry about. Nobody really hot on his tail. He separates himself between he and Boss. So Ricky's starting to stretch out. That's the one thing Reed did not want. Looking at it one more time. He's right on the tail of Nick Way on that CR250, but getting by is another story, especially when they're too wide. Dives to the inside. He should be set up here, but see Way, how he's able to close him down.
We saw similar behavior from Way in the last chance qualifier. But look at that, just clearing the set.
On the inside and set him up for that left-hand turn. Not only did he do that rhythm section, he did it in position to make the pass. He blocked Nick Way, was able to move into 3rd. Next up on the list, he's Boss. Now you're looking at Boss, who's the GP, the World GP Supercross champion, going up against the American Supercross champion, that being Chad Reed. You don't even see Carmichael in the picture. That's how fast Carmichael is now. He's out in front with nobody to worry about. Reed dives to the inside. The whoops are his best portion of the track, and he now takes over 2nd. This crowd going crazy. He goes by on that outside. The suspension is so dialed for him. Right here is more of the rhythm section. Now watch this. Let's see if he can triple. Jumps over, triple. Grabs it again. There he goes. That's what Carmichael's doing. That's why he pulled away a little bit.
We saw Carmichael. The only other rider able to do that is Fonseca that we've seen so far in the 2 days of competition. But the distance between Carmichael and Reed right now staying consistent.
Chad Reed has some work cut out for him. Look at Ricky Carmichael, a shorter rider, but that bike is dialed on the whoop. Now they had to rework the course. The whoop section is a little bit shorter than it was in day 1. Maybe that favors Carmichael just a little bit. Look at Heath Moss, rider number 13 of the Mach 1 Yamaha, has Nick Way all over him. These were 2 teammates just a year ago.
And it's interesting, you watch the two riders take those opposite courses. We're seeing Reed on that same corner take one line where Ricky Carmichael's taking the inside line.
You have to give props to Clear Channel Motorsports and the Dirtworks crew, giving them the opportunity. When you have multiple lines, you have the chance to pass. When you're playing follow the leader, nothing gets done. And right now, look at Nick Wade taking the outside line. He's going to jump. He changes up. He's doing something different than the rider in front of him. He has that opportunity.
There's Heath Foss, able to maintain through that corner. And the question is, you talk about a gap that big between Carmichael and Reed. As good as Reed is, can you make up the distance?
Yes, he can make up the distance. Look, there are 20 laps left in this 25-lap main event. He's already in the second. So, yeah, there is plenty of time still out there for Chad Reed.
And Nick Wade could be playing the part of possible underdog. And despite the fall, Chad Reed works his way back to second, while Ricky Carmichael way out front. Can he hold on? More main event when we return to Las Vegas right after this. Back to an amazing main event here in Las Vegas at the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross, and still holding a firm lead is none other than Ricky Carmichael.
About 9 seconds for RC. You look back, Chad Reed jumps on, jumps off, already working into lap traffic, trying to get by Damon Huffman, rider number 20 here in just a moment. But you see Reed is hard on the gas. The course is starting to dry out. You see the dust, just something you have to deal with. But when it gets dusty and slippery, things tend to happen as well.
You saw Carmichael out front, Chad Reed behind with 9 laps to go, and this being the main event, 25 laps. You think, 10 laps to start, 12 laps, try 25.
Woo, and when it gets slippery like that, Carmichael almost lost the front end right there, but Reed can see Carmichael next to him. He knows if he's gaining, losing time.
Carmichael goes down.
He's definitely losing time right now, loses the front end, picks it up, it is still running. That's the savior for Carmichael, and there goes Chad Reed. 9 seconds goes to none.
Chad Reed blows by Carmichael. We were talking 2 years ago. What happened to Ricky Carmichael? Went down in one of the corners in one of the races, but unbelievable. Reed goes down, and then Carmichael goes down.
Man, very uncharacteristic. Loses the clutch lever position just a little bit. You see him bang on the handlebars. Unfortunate for Ricky Carmichael. Very fortunate for the 22 of Chad Reed, going for his second U.S. Open of Supercross title, and I don't know if Ricky's going to get it now. Especially after following. I mean, you lose so much momentum, your body just goes blah.
I'm surprised he was able to get back on as quick as he did.
Well, I say I don't know if he's going to catch him. Let me change that. No one is more determined than Ricky Carmichael. He will do everything in his power to get by. He knows that everybody is watching how well he'll do on the new Suzuki. Riders are pulling over. Good job by the lap riders, enabling them to race up front. But I cannot believe what I just saw out of Carmichael.
So a race that we thought was cinched up for the most part, being 25 laps, but no way to forecast Carmichael going down the way we saw.
Well, the question was, did Carmichael have anything left in the bag from the first main event yesterday? The answer is yes. He definitely was faster today than he was yesterday. He made up ground somewhere, everywhere. But now he lost position, so he's really going to have to make up even more ground as the laps go down. Only 6 left, and Reed has now got into that flow going, I'm out in front. There is no way I'm going to let you by.
Well, with just 6 laps to go, we noticed Reed distancing himself even farther from Carmichael. A discernible difference at this point.
When you fall down, you lose that momentum. The bike's a little bit tweaked maybe, but it's just inside. You go, man, I can't believe that happened. As you take a look at the Slim Jim helmet cam, no one in front of Chad Reed right now. But you lose a little bit of focus, but also that drive you had going. Chad Reed was behind, watching it unfold in front of him.
Robbie, when you look at a course this tight, we say it's a mix of arena and Supercross. Any benefit to say an arena cross rider or a Supercross rider?
Yeah, maybe the aggressiveness, but these guys are going to haul no matter what course they're on. Sometimes it helps a guy in second when it's tight like this because you have lap riders to really work with. They are spread out. That's not going to happen right now. So really the tight course, if anything, it's going to hurt Ricky Carmichael. You see them running the exact same lap time, 46.6. And he knows if he keeps that pace up, Chad Reed's going to win and walk out of here $100,000 richer. Reed's getting married. His fiance and Ellie are getting married next week and honeymooning in Australia. He's looking at a $100,000 honeymoon.
quite a vacation.
Quite a vacation. Hey, I also want to tell you, Reed won last year, won that $100,000. He donated $50,000 to Jamie Brockman, a fellow rider in Australia who was injured. So that's what kind of heart that Chad Reed has as well.
Well, the odds going into today's event, 8-5 for Chad Reed for the main event. And he's living up to that right now.
Looking better than 8-5 right now, Pat. Carmichael charges hard, but the laps are just running out on him. There's not much he can do unless Reed has a bobble. But hey, this U.S. Open of Supercross, things happen. It's slippery out there. The last laps, I'm just telling you, this is a crazy event. The underdogs have won 3 of 6 years. Not that Chad Reed's an underdog, but you saw how he took the lead.
And look out the back on the board. Nick Way, you talk about underdogs, just making the podium here at the U.S. Open of Supercross would be huge bragging rights for Nick Way.
And Sebastian Tortelli also back in 4th spot, doing a great job. Yeah, he's a factory rider, but he finished 10th on day 1. He's in 4th right now, so good recovery for Sebastian Tortelli, who's just looking for one healthy season in a long, long time.
Chad Reed looks unstoppable at this point.
Only a couple of laps left right now. He's on conservation mode. You see him not getting really aggressive. He's jumping in. He's not trying to hit him singly like he does that section right there. He's found a rhythm on the track. He's not going to do anything crazy. Hopefully no one does anything crazy around him and he's setting sail. Look how fast he is still, though. I mean, he knows also that Ricky Carmichael's a champion. He's not going to give up behind him.
See Carmichael out the back just behind.
Oh, got thrown forward right there. And Carmichael sticks the front end right there. Looks like he lost power, and Reed separates himself. You do not see Carmichael in the picture. There's the left rider. He falls, and Carmichael pulls over just as they go under the tunnel. Something happens to Ricky Carmichael's machine. Pat, I thought he might have broke the chain the way the bike just kind of stopped, but the chain's still on the sprocket.
Unbelievable. The 2-time champ from here, Ricky Carmichael, with just 1 lap to go.
Reed looked over and said, where is he? He still expected Carmichael to be there, and what's going on in his head?
As he should. So Carmichael out of the race. He led early after a fall from Reed, and then Carmichael goes down.
The Slim Jim helmet cam keeps looking over to the side. He's looking for Carmichael. He says, where is Carmichael? They're saying Kennan just said a broken clutch. So the clutch gave up on the RM250. Unfortunate. Something that just does not happen on this machinery. RC, DNF, that stands for did not finish. Reed is all smiles right now, Pat.
He knows the distance between him and the other rest of the pack that much farther. Carmichael was maintaining, but nowhere getting where he needed to be to take the win away. So it will be checkered flag for Chad Reed. 2 wins.
Back-to-back U.S. Open of Supercross championships for Chad Reed. With Carmichael dropping out, that's going to mean Nick Way moves in to number 2, and Nick Way, the underdog, is going to finish 2nd. So he says, take that, factories. You didn't pick me up. I'm showing you who's a bad man to deal with in 05, but you see the number 1 from Reed. We said he was the best Supercross rider, his mechanic Darren Sorensen. He knew it all along.
And in 3rd place, finishing out the top 3, Sebastian Tortelli.
Congrats to Sebastian Tortelli. Mike LaRocco works his way up. He's battling for that final podium spot.
Well, 25 laps, and it comes down to 1 corner. A corner I'm sure Carmichael wished never happened.
They said his clutch was going out, but when he's up at the top of the berm, it is very loose. It almost looks like it just come out from underneath him. But then again, if you're worried about the clutch, you're not really focusing on your lines. But unfortunate for him, Reed takes over position, but you see Carmichael really not that far behind. As we look at the Slim Jim helmet cam, Reed says, what do we have here? Ricky Carmichael, adios. I'm going to win my 2nd U.S. Open of Supercross.
A dramatic ending, and Chad Reed joins the likes of Ricky Carmichael, who ended up in 11th place as a 2-time winner here at the U.S. Open of Supercross. Underdog Nick Way in 2nd and Sebastian Tortelli in 3rd. When we return, overall title implications, and we talk to Chad Reed.
The U.S. Open of Supercross is brought to you by Suzuki Boulevards, the only cruisers with the DNA of champions. See your Suzuki dealer and choose your Boulevard. By Kawasaki, the leading edge of power, performance, exhilaration. And by Yamaha, makers of cutting-edge motorcycles and tough-as-nails ATVs. Nobody's more in tune with motorsports than Yamaha.
Welcome back, everyone, to Las Vegas, Nevada, and the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross. Celebration time for Chad Reed and fiancée Ellie. The veteran, LaRocco, ends up in third, and Nick Way, by virtue of his second-place finish here, takes home $35,000 and joins the ranks of a very established field. Kenan Harkin is with Nick.
Nick, second place in this race, second place overall. You've got to be pretty psyched.
Yeah, you know, this deal came together a week and a half ago, and I can't thank MDK, MB1, MSR. They've been behind me 100%. You know, Pro Circuit, all the guys for getting behind me for this race. You know, actually, I did a race in Canada. Spent a week building the track at home with my friend Joe. I can't thank him enough for helping me get ready for this. But you know, I have really high expectations for myself, and you know, I felt comfortable this weekend. Got a couple good starts, and you know, with the support of my new team, I was able to put it up on the podium.
Well, I'm glad it paid off for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, the key to most races is the start. In this one, we thought it was cinched up with Carmichael taking the whole shot.
And Supercross starts are very important. You get out in front, you make everybody else try and pass you. Ricky Carmichael did his job. He was out in front, a little bobble by Reed, but he was 9 seconds ahead of Reed. He was keeping that distance until this happened. Tucked the front end. I'm not sure if the clutch was affected then or not, but he goes down and Reed catches back up.
An opportunity, and Reed seizes it, blowing by Carmichael and keeping to the front all the way to the end. Chad Reed, 2 wins back-to-back. Kenan Harkin is with Chad Reed.
Chad, this is one for the history books. That was an incredible race. There was frustration on both sides, I'm sure. Take me through that race as best you can.
You know, it was a shame I went down. You know, I just put my head down, just tried clicking off the laps, you know, and I was pushing harder and harder, and I was seeming to be getting slower. You know, this track was really, really slick, and it was important to kind of just slow myself down and hit my marks. And, you know, once I started doing that, I just started itching away, and then I came around the corner, and he was on the ground, and that kind of made it even. You know, he was right behind me, and then I was like, man, let's go race now. You know, let's just take it from the start. And then I just kind of gapped him a little bit, and you know, I come out of the tunnel and saw him slow down, and that real sucks. You know, it's not a way to finish the night. You know, I feel sorry for him, but you know, I just want to say thanks to Ricky. You know, he's an awesome competitor, and I've had a lot of fun this weekend racing him, and next year's going to be a blast, and I can't wait.
Well, you know what? You're now a 2-time U.S. Open champion. Ricky won it back-to-back. You've just won it back-to-back. What can we look forward to in this coming season between you two riders?
Things like that, you know, you can never, ever give up. And I think that's what the three of us, you know, James, Ricky, and myself all have in common is we want to win, we believe we can win, and we're going to do whatever it takes to win. And for the fans out there, I'm happy for you guys because it's going to be a great race.
You heard him mention Bubba, James Bubba Stewart. All eyes will be fixed on his debut for the 250cc class.
The most anticipated Supercross season ever. You can check it out at supercross.cc.com. McGrath, Pastrana, Carmichael, Reed, Bubba Stewart, they're all there, and you can watch them.
And an unfortunate debut for Carmichael with Suzuki. Kenan caught up with them.
Ricky, I wish it was under better circumstances that we were talking, but you know, you had a great start, and you were pretty much leading. What went wrong?
Well, I got a good start, and I was, you know, checking out. I was reeling in, you know, putting out some good laps, and my clutch just broke. I had a little piece inside the clutch hub kind of sheared off, and it caused my bike to go in neutral. So the clutch started to slip and miss here and there, and that's why I fell, and then got back going, and then it really went out there, and I had to pull off. But I felt good. I had good laps, and I'm really happy. Things happen for a reason, and you know, I'm happy with the way the weekend went.
A gracious Carmichael, but the rider who feels great, the #1 guy here in Las Vegas, Chad Reed. Back-to-back wins for the Australian, and disappointment for Carmichael.
Not all is lost, Pat. His new Suzuki ride is fast, and he knows he has what it takes to compete with Chad Reed for the new series.
And along with that, a strong showing from LaRocco and the underdog, Nick Way. What a race. On behalf of Robbie Floyd and Kenan Harkin and all of us here, I'm Pat Parnell. Thanks for tuning in to the 2004 U.S. Open of Supercross.